Hey everyone, welcome back to Sgcarmart. So recently we've seen an influx of new brands to Singapore, and specifically an influx of new Chinese brands, and now there's a new one, SRM. But unlike some of the other Chinese brands that perhaps you may already be a bit familiar with, the first product that SRM is bringing to Singapore is this, an all-electric 10-foot lorry. This is the SRM T3 EV. It is an eco-friendly commercial vehicle that will see to all the daily transportation needs of any business owner, and it can also deal with harsher off-road conditions when necessary. And it has a fairly conventional 10-foot lorry body style, but it's been designed to look futuristic and to be highly functional as well. First of all, let's talk about size. So this is quite a long lorry at almost 5.2 meters long, but usefully it's not super wide, it is under 1.8 meters wide. And most importantly, at a height of 1.98 meters, this lorry will fit in most multi-story car parks. One thing to point out though, because this is a fairly long lorry in a typical HDB car park, it is going to fill up most of the lot.
The SRM T3 EV is priced at $68,800 without COE. The single electric motor produces 80 brake horsepower and 220 Nm of torque. The 53.58 kWh battery has a drive range of 300 km. For more details on the SRM T3 EV or any other car, head on to sgcarmart.com to help you make the smart choice on your next car.
Now let's talk about some of the specific design and features of this lorry. So unlike perhaps a more typical or traditional 10-foot lorry, this T3 looks a little bit different, right? So for example, we have DRLs and these like blue surrounds on the headlights, and if you look at this here, you can see that this lorry has a bit of a nose to it, right? One of the benefits of that, I suppose, is that if you are unfortunately getting into some kind of incident, you at least have an additional safe zone. Now, we also have 15-inch wheels here, so that's going to be able to deal with off-road conditions well. And these side view mirrors are electrically adjustable, so that really just adds to the ease of convenience. One of the benefits of the overall length is that this T3 has the biggest deck size in its class, with 5.21 square meters of cargo space, and that translates to the ability to fit 3 units of pallets. It probably goes without saying that it will very easily fit the anti-trolley and a luggage. In fact, it will fit many anti-trolleys and many luggages. Now, in terms of payload, this lorry can carry up to 1.6 tons of goods, and it can also fit 14 people here on the rear deck, and that's one more than your typical 10-foot lorry. And of course, as a 10-foot lorry, this has a wide range of customization to fit your business needs. Now let's go check out the inside of the cab. Now, here inside the cab, this is a lorry, so first and foremost, a very functional space, right? But I must say I'm impressed by the overall sense of space here. It's quite spacious and it feels well put together, right? I mean, obviously you're gonna get a lot of sort of hard plastics everywhere, but you know, they feel well put together, no real gaps anywhere. And even some of the knobs here have a good tactile feeling. So for example, the gear selector, even the aircon controls, they feel quite well put together, right? Even the indicators, you know. So overall, I think this ranks quite highly in terms of quality for a lorry, right? Now, specific features that we need to talk about, we have a fully digital dash, so it can show you a whole bunch of information. We have this steering wheel, which is a little bit squared off at the bottom, so a little bit of a sporty, racy look. Now, I do want to talk about this infotainment system. So it's a 9-inch Android-powered system, so there's a ton of functionality in it. You get some of your standard stuff, you get like a radio, you can have Bluetooth connectivity. However, if you manage to connect this to Wi-Fi or you have a SIM card inserted, you get access to the internet, and with that comes a whole bunch of things. So you have Google, you have Netflix, you have Spotify, you even have YouTube, you have Waze. So, you know, for people who are going to be seated in this space for a long time, that's very useful. You know, that helps to pass out the in-between moments, in between drives or deliveries. Now, in terms of overall comfort, I must say I am finding it quite comfortable over here. So seating position is nice and high, you have very good visibility, lots of glass all around. And these seats are honestly quite comfortable, right? I can imagine that you won't be tired after a long day of driving. Now, we also obviously have to talk about safety. So we have dual SRS airbags, and we also have a rear view parking camera. So that's honestly very useful, because again, this is quite a long vehicle and it just helps making your life much easier. And the T3 also comes with a front dash cam. Now let's take this T3 on the road and see how it drives. Let's talk a little bit about performance. So here we have 80 brake horsepower and 220 Newton meters of torque. And I think it's important to point out, right, with a commercial vehicle, speed really isn't that important, right? Absolute speed is not that important. This lorry is limited to 70 km per hour, and once you exceed 70 km per hour, the sort of alarm starts to blare. So what's more important actually is acceleration, right? It's pickup, and that's where an electric drivetrain makes a lot of sense because you have immediate torque, right? 220 Newton meters of torque is not insignificant. So obviously we are riding with no load at the back. So if I put my foot down, like, that's honestly good, strong pickup for a 10-foot lorry, right? And if you actually needed more, there is also a sport mode. So if I hit just the sport button here, it actually sharpens up the throttle actually kind of noticeably, and yeah, you get a lot more of that instantaneous pickup that you need. And I think that's good, right? Imagine if you were carrying a whole lot of stuff in the back. This has quite a high payload capacity. That means that, if you needed to overtake a little bit or get out of a little bit of a situation, or just, get up to 60 km per hour, right? It's much easier, it's much smoother, and it just makes for a much more pleasant overall driving experience. Now, beyond just performance and pickup, how does this feel on the road? Well, it feels like a 10-foot lorry, right? So, ride quality is a little bit on the harsh side, but this is fundamentally a commercial vehicle, a workhorse, right? One thing I really do like is actually very quiet. There's not much road noise. So we are doing 55 km per hour on the highway, and it's very quiet. I can kind of talk in a whisper, and it feels very serene. And typically with your more traditional like diesel lorries, you're gonna get a lot of clatter, a lot of noise, a lot of wind noise. And here, it's really smooth. It's really quiet. It's a nice environment. It feels a little bit more upmarket as an overall experience. Now, let's talk about range, because obviously this is an electric vehicle, right? So this lorry uses a 3rd gen CATL battery that has 53 kilowatt hours of capacity, and that translates to about 300 km of range on a full charge. And that is currently best in class, and I must say, quite a good number, right? Yes, this is a commercial vehicle, so you are going to be doing multiple trips in a day possibly, but you're doing what, maybe 150, 200, even 250. So if you can charge this on a day-to-day basis, that's plenty, right? You're not going to have to worry about running out halfway. So I think all things considered, it's honestly quite good. Now, when it comes to charging, this lorry is also fastest in class. So DC charging at 55 kilowatts will get you from 20% to 80% in just 35 minutes, and that's honestly plenty quick. And if you're just charging on AC at up to 11 kilowatts, you can get the same 20 to 80% in just 3 hours. So, charging is not really going to be an issue, right? And think about the use case in Singapore. Singapore is fundamentally a small country. You're not driving massive distances, so you can do your 150, 200 km, stop for quick lunch, 35 minutes, DC charge it, go on to your next journey, right? So I think, especially in Singapore, a vehicle like this for a business, I think it makes sense. Now, one interesting thing about this vehicle is that it has a 7 kilowatt DC output, which means that it's the only vehicle in its class to support 3 kilowatt V2L. Now, if you were a business owner interested in an electric CV like this, you must be concerned about the relevant warranties, right? So let me quickly run you through some of them. First of all, the battery. So as mentioned, it's a 3rd gen CATL battery, and CATL are the global leaders when it comes to batteries. And this battery has a warranty of 6 plus 2 years, or up to 360,000 km. Now, the motor itself, that has a warranty of 5 years or up to 200,000 km, and the entire vehicle has a warranty of 3 years or up to 100,000 km. So the SRM T3 EV, is it a will buy, won't buy, or go try? I definitely think this is a go try. So let's be very, very clear about one thing, right? When it comes to CVs, we are seeing a shift. We are seeing a shift from diesels to electrics, and that's for a couple of reasons. One is just a general sort of shift in the automotive sector towards cleaner, greener vehicles. But I think also we are seeing a government push to sort of phase out some of these older diesel vehicles, right? So when it comes to a 10-foot lorry, if you're looking at a new option, there aren't a ton of choices, right? So when it comes to an electric one, this is currently what you are looking at. And I think for the money, right? So right now this is listed at 68800 before COE, and once you do a little bit of math, with current COE levels and with the rebates, you're looking at 123,000 thereabout. Is it a lot of money? Probably, but you can then also calculate some of the savings over time, right? An EV will be cheaper to run, less maintenance. And obviously with a new vehicle, you're going to get a lot of the quality of life improvements over a much older vehicle that you could consider. And I think that's something worth thinking about, because ultimately when it comes to using a CV, just sort of the actual act of getting from point to point is at the entire point, right? How does it feel? Do you feel comfortable sitting here for 6 hours a day? I think that is important. So, obviously all these cabin equipment, cabin comfort, I think that matters a lot. So I think when you are a business owner and looking not just today, but also looking towards the future, I think something like this is definitely worth considering. So yes, that's our review of the SRM T3 EV. Something a little bit different today, right? A lorry, not a car. So hope you've enjoyed this video, and do remember to like, share and subscribe to our channel, and you can also hit the notification bell so you will be alerted of all our upcoming videos. And of course, you can also check us out on TikTok at Sgcarmart. So that's all I have. I'll see you soon. Bye!